stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call meeting to order. Thank you for being here. Before we start, for everyone in attendance, and then if you're watching at home, to my left is Councillor John Machadi, and then Councillor Stephanie Thibodeau, our town manager, right down here, Michelle Flewelling, Councillor Larry McDonald, Councillor Peter Lawrence, and myself, Councillor Matt Townsend. So our first order of business will be the public announcements. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Fairfield is hiring with openings in the town office, police, fire, public works, and Crossroads TV. So there are plenty of opportunities. Number 2, Fairfield has volunteer openings for the following ad hoc committees: Building Committee and a committee to address the ramifications of PFAS contamination. If you're interested in serving your community, please please complete an appointment application form available online at the town office. Number 3, MSD number 49 annual school budget meeting will be held at the Lawrence Junior High on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. Again, that's Tuesday, May 16th, coming right up at 7 p.m. Number 4, the annual spring cleanup is scheduled from Monday, May 15th to Friday, May 19th. There are changes to the program. Brochures are available at the town office. Number 5, the Fairfield Memorial Day Parade with Fairfield Benton Fire Rescue will take place at 11 a.m. on Monday, May 29th, starting at the Fairfield Community Center, traveling Main Street and Western Ave, stopping at the Maplewood Cemetery, then Monument Park. Number 6, the Fairfield Farmers Market opens mid-May and is held on Wednesdays from 2 to 6 p.m. And Saturdays from 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. The market is located at the Fairfield Church of the Nazarene on 81 Main Street. It's number 7. On June 3rd, National Trail Days, we'll hear about it a little bit later. The ECDC is hosting the grand opening for Cattail Trail from 10 a.m. to noon. And number 8, the MSAD number 49 School Board and Budget Validation Referendum election will be held at the Community Center on June 13th, 2023. Polls are open at 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available May 15th through June 8th. The second order of business, public hearings. I see none. The third order of business, public comments, limited to 3 minutes. Members of the public may speak to the council or request opportunity to speak on a specific item that is on the agenda, or may email comments for council to info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. the day of meeting. Submitted content may be read aloud at this time. Nothing online? Nope. All right. The fourth order of business, reports from staff and committees. The town manager report.
All right, so I have for you, I'll have some updates when we get to that on the agenda about the May 1st spring storm event. May 2nd, I hosted a meeting here at the community center for managers from around the region. The main topic of that meeting was EMS services and its sustainability. We discussed the EMS Community Self-Determination Grant and applying as a collective to include area municipalities with and without ambulance, first responder services, Delta, and area hospitals. All managers that were here at the meeting agreed that they would take it back to their boards or councils to start the conversation, and ultimately would result in a letter of support from each entity to back the grant application when it becomes available. And additional items and during the discussion included the fact that we are suffering from lack of staff. Many have an inability to find contractors for certain services, including audits, as well as all of our respective budget process and that sort of stuff. It was a great meeting. So I think it was probably one of the first times we'd all gotten together since the pandemic. So it was good. There were a lot of new faces in the room, so there's been a lot of changeover in the region. So it was a good meeting. Of course, Monday we had the town meeting, which we'll discuss later on. Yesterday, I did have a meeting with Attorney Lee and the attorneys for Tangent and Madison Energy Investments. Those are the two companies that are associated with the landfill solar project. A subcontractor has filed a mechanics lien against the landfill property. And we are working with those attorneys to get it addressed and ensure that it would be done at no cost to the town. So that is something that we're currently working on. I also have a walkthrough tomorrow with the DEP. We do know that we will be receiving as a municipality a notice of violation of that project, but so will the contractor, due to issues with construction, mud season, the cap, that sort of stuff, but those will all be addressed and taken care of. And then this morning, we did have, I attended the Central Maine Growth Council's Board of Directors meeting. And then also, just to back up a little bit, on Monday, I'm not sure if every member of the council had received this or not, but I know several entities, including the school and PAL, did receive a letter from a town resident claiming the fact that there were tanks underneath the old Public Works garage location off from Industrial Road that were leaking toxic chemicals into the surrounding ball fields. DEP also received that complaint. That site we received complaints on that site back in 2018. It was thoroughly investigated at that time. We did end up finding an old septic tank at that location. It had nothing in it, no oil, no anything like that, but the tank was properly decommissioned and crushed and concreted and sealed while members of the state were actually in observance back in 18. This time, the state chose to send staff from the Bureau of Remediation of Waste Management, and they did their investigation with ground penetrating radar. They found no evidence of any tank underneath the Public Works garage old slab off from Industrial Road. There is nothing there. They did find where unfortunately they came when they did, because when they did this report, it was a while back. It was the 21st of April. It was before we had gotten all the rains. So everything up there was dry. Right now, the place is completely underwater. They did find the old oil and water separator location at the end of the catch drain. No oil sheen, nothing in it. It has been capped properly. There's nothing going anywhere. They did find, they said a bunch of old Speedy Dry in the bottom, it looked like. But they found absolutely nothing at that location to indicate that there were any contaminants going anywhere. So we did finally receive that report on Monday. The state did follow up with the resident that had made the complaint, and they also have received the report. And I have it here if anybody wants it or needs it, but it has been being sent out to those that I'm aware that it was reported to. But just so everyone's aware, there's nothing there as we suspected. So, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Michelle. I guess one question I would have, and you actually have hit on it before, but people might have questions, with the landfill and the solar project there. There was discussion why you're actually going there, because they actually had rutting, and the problem would be, well, is the town on the hook? And you've explained this is pretty much covered by the contractors.
Yes, so the town, back when we leased that property, prior to it, we signing the lease, with the use of our town attorney, we worked very hard to make sure we created a lease agreement in which the municipality was pretty much protected from everything. In fact, the lease specifically addresses mechanics liens, it addresses the care and maintenance of the facility, all of those different things. The issue is that I have to make sure that those that are responsible for those pieces of that process are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that was the part of it. But we have made sure that if anything like that was to happen, what happens is the people who lease the property are required to either bond off whatever the mechanics lien is or to satisfy it or what have you. This project has been a bit complicated. Tangent being the contractor, the project has changed hand twice since the lease was signed, but it was like I said, it was a good lease, and so everything has continued with every new owner. The original contractor on the property was dismissed because of illegally installing the solar panels, and they had hired folks to do some work. This happens to be a subcontractor of the subcontractor. And so because of that political battle between those two entities, it has left some vendors in some precarious situations. So they're working on it, and we just needed to ensure that they were working on it. But it is clearly written that any and all legal fees, if we incur them, they are responsible for. So,
thanks, Michelle. On to committee reports. Stephanie?
Well, the Economic and Community Development Committee met on May 2nd, and we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have an official meeting. Garvin from the Central Maine Growth Council did go over what's been happening on the first draft for the waterfront plan, and it's in the works. We're hoping to have the first draft completed within the next couple of months. And we also talked about the National Trails Day, which is the first Saturday in June, June 3rd. And we are going to have the grand opening of Cattail Trail down by the high school track and the PAL fields. And we're hoping people will utilize our trails. KVCC's going to have their campus trail on Western Avenue open. People at Goodwill Hinckley are looking forward to people attending their trails on that Saturday. And of course, we also have our Mill Island Park Trail that people can walk. Beginning Memorial Day weekend and going until Labor Day, we will be having the Passbook program so that we can get people to walk our trails. And there'll be QR codes at each site. What you'll be doing is taking a picture of the QR code and a picture of yourself on the trail, submit it online, and those that do all 4 trails, their names will be entered into a drawing. On another note, the Somerset County budget has been finalized, and we're looking at a 9.8% increase in the county tax as of right now, based on what we have. June 1st at 6:30 at the Superior Court Building in Skowhegan, we're having the county budget public hearing, and it's open to the public. So you're more than welcome to come and sit in, and if you need to talk, there'll be opportunity to talk as well. After that meeting, if it's approved, then the county commissioners will again meet and put their seal of approval on it. And that's basically how the county budget is approved. And that's it.
Thank you, Rita. So I'll get that again, June 1st.
June 1st
Superior
at
Court,
6:30.
Skowhegan, 6:30.
Yes,
Very good. Thanks, Stephanie.
you're welcome.
Real quick, sorry, I don't know if I can jump in with a question. Just about the trails, is it bike trails or is it exclusively walking trails?
They're walking trails for the most
Exclusively
part,
walking.
yes.
Okay. And then, is there somewhere to find more information?
It will be
about
on
that?
our town website. We're currently in the process of developing a brochure that people will have, that you can see where the trails are and how to access them.
Cool, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So moving on to the 5th order of business, the consent agenda. These items are considered routine or standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests prior to consideration of this portion of the agenda, which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered next on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
You usually read the items.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You jump.
I was like, that was a little quick.
All right, yeah, here we go, jumped over. Item 2360, ordered the Fairfield Town Council hereby waives the reading and accepts the minutes for meeting number 2023-08 held on April 26, 2023. And item 2361, ordered the Town Council hereby approves Treasurer's Warrant 109, the amount of $447,623.80, not limited to, but including MSAD number 49, Gerald Hotel, Secretary of State Motor Vehicle, and the Summit Natural Gas. So,
moved.
Second.
hearing a motion and a second, any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor? The 6th order of business, to take action on the following items of business as read by the council chair. Item 2362, order the town council hereby countersigns MSAD number 49 district budget referendum election warrant.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Item 2363, order the town council hereby signs the quit claim deed for Joshua Stanley for the property located on Norridge Walk Road, map and lot number 012-016-006.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, so moving on to the seventh order of business. This is now our council workshop and other business. Discuss the annual town budget meeting recap. Guess, I think we all have some thoughts about it, but Michelle, I'll let you lead because it's your baby putting this budget together with your department heads.
So we usually always put this item on here, one, mostly if, quite frankly, is if we have to deal with an emergency for something that doesn't pass at town meeting. But fortunately, everything passed as was drafted, so all of the highest numbers went through. Your town, we did able to get you your final count, which there were 59 residents that were in attendance. That is definitely more than the 46 that we had last year, but less, about a third of the 152 that were the year before. We had found, you did get a voter participation history sheet tonight, and if you notice the years in which we did town meeting in June and we coupled it with the school, our numbers of participation were greater. However, those were secret ballot town meetings at that time. And if you remember correctly, the committee on the charter had met and looked things over and had recommended that if the charter was to ever go back out and be discussed, looking at a secret ballot town meeting was their only recommendation. So the reason why I bring this up to you now is that we always take a look at what the voter participation is at town meeting and whether or not that is something you want to do, because the clock starts ticking very quickly. So we didn't know whether that was a conversation you wanted to have and we could put it on for discussion at your next meeting, or whether you're fine with how exactly everything is now. Simply because of the fact that if you were to do a charter commission nomination papers, we have to know in July, that sort of stuff. So it's really just a matter of timing. It's not something that you have to do. We're just bringing it to your attention that if it was something you wanted to discuss, you would have to do it sooner rather than later. But other than that, I think everything went very well, and it was good to see the turnout that we did have. I was a bit nervous there for a bit whether or not we were going to have any at all, because we had zero feedback on the budget at the town office up until the meeting. So it was good.
Thank you. Any thoughts from councilors?
Yes, I have to make an apology, a sincere apology, and that is to Spectrum Generations and our citizens, because I had said that Spectrum hadn't gotten their request letter in on time, and they had, and so, again, please accept my apologies. I was wrong, and I hope that didn't cause too much frustration for people. So.
Thank you.
Welcome.
But I thought the same thing in my own head. I remember the history, so taking good notes, like, okay, who presented? And then we had our several meetings.
Right.
And so what was in the last time, so,
Right.
yeah.
I just couldn't find my notes. I got them with me tonight. All I had was the card.
Yep.
And so I got confused, and again, my sincere apologies.
Yep.
That's very nice, Stephanie, thank you. Anybody else for comments?
No, I thought-
Myself, I was happy to see the attendance we had. Growing up here in Maine and going to a town meeting, even starting off as a little boy, it's always been kind of a part of a town, in my mind, in New England. It's tough, though, when you look at the numbers. You look at a town at a secret ballot, and that you do get better attendance, or you get more involvement that way, but you don't get the discussion. And so it's actually good to have that discussion at meetings, so I think there is some validity to having a town meeting. And so that's something maybe for us to discuss if we are going to do something about a charter commission, then we need to do it fairly soon. But I think those are the pros and cons. Yeah, we look at greater attendance, but we don't have the interaction.
So I think that we should have that dialogue at another meeting, and just
I think so.
see how it comes about.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more interaction with the residents on the budget, because I know that for the years, residents have been complaining that the taxes are high, things like that, but you have to interact and come to these meetings to point your views, so.
And I think you're exactly right on that, and I think the big part of that is that they see a tax bill and they all think municipal, but the tax bill is municipal is only one part of a tax bill. And I think that's an important thing to remember.
Because for the years I've been doing the budget too, I think department heads and the town office is trying to keep down the amount of the budget, the amount of the taxes for the personnel. The way at the last minute, get all three together, then they go in and try to keep that mill rate down. So it's all the work for the town office and the department heads and the council and the budget committee trying to keep that number down and that mill rate down for the residents.
I know, like with the county budget, Fairfield is the second highest paying community for taxes, for county taxes. Skowhegan is first.
Well, except for town, well.
It's done per capita.
We're behind the unorganized territories, we're actually
Which-
third.
Well, but the unorganized territories are all funded by
The state.
Yep.
the government, federal government, so. So, yeah, it's just, our municipal bill is just one part.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that that's a good piece for us to make sure we continue to stress, right? Like, we only have so much control over what happens with the school and the county, and it does require public input. That's why we announced that meeting for the school board. That's where people need to go to get that addressed. The school is more than 50% of their tax bill. Oftentimes what happens is you as town councilors get blamed because the town of Fairfield is the entity that actually sends the tax bill to people, but we don't have influence over all of those, not as individuals, but collectively the community can have influence over those other pieces. And we encourage people to attend those, so.
Right. All right. So I just got a little tiny bit to say, and then, so 59 people for a town meeting is honestly a good number, because it was a pretty well-known fact that the taxes weren't going to go up this year on the town side. Now, Tuesday, if we can't get some citizen participation on this school board meeting, the taxes are probably going to go up. And I can't stress that enough to everybody listening. Please, show up, voice your opinion,
And listen.
you know, and let's all get pulling in the same direction here and make things work the way they're supposed to. And the same thing with the county budget. Every citizen can go June 1st. And they should, because again, if they don't, Fairfield's part of the county budget is going to go up. So we need the citizens to engage. This is the time. So please, I can't stress it enough to everybody listening, that we need some involvement.
There's also a perception too out there saying, okay, it's all said and done because we did our budget committee.
Right.
The county and the school, everyone says, okay, it's all said and done already. Why not even go?
That's why I'm stressing it so hard right now, because this is the way this government by the people is supposed to work. Okay, and I can't stress it enough. This is the taxpayers' chance to try to keep our taxes as low as possible. But we're gonna need citizen participation on Tuesday at 7 and on June 1st at 6:30.
You just got to remember too, with the school budget, there's 4 towns involved.
It doesn't matter.
Usually
We don't
when I-
care what the other towns do,
I know.
we care what Fairfield does.
Usually when I go, well, I bet the other towns have a bigger turnout in Fairfield.
No, we don't care what the other towns do.
Which is a town that's voted to secede from SAD 49,
That,
usually.
again, we don't care what they do, we're concerned with what Fairfield does.
And I think the biggest thing is to always go and listen. So if you can make a good case for why a budget is a budget, then maybe it's good. But we'll see.
Right, we won't know until we hear.
Right, until we hear. Right.
And you ask questions.
And you ask
Right.
questions.
Did you announce, by the way, Steph, where the county meeting is going to be held?
Superior Court Building in Skowhegan.
Right,
And, because,
just so everybody knows.
right, because, and like I said, this is the citizens' chance. So
Also, too,
please,
it's
don't
limited
miss it.
parking up there too, because I've been up there, you can
Yeah.
park around the next to the cinema and things like that, and
Yeah.
walk in.
Yeah, there's plenty of parking there.
Great. So good discussion about the budget, and I think actually having that future discussion about the Charter Commission
Yeah.
would be good.
We'll line that up for you next week. Yep.
For when I'm back in
Yes.
June.
Okay.
Because I
We can do-
won't
yeah,
be
we
here.
want-
at the
yeah,
We
next
can do that for your meeting.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that'd be great.
And remember,
Yep.
you have, we'll be down to the wire at that point because you have one meeting in June.
Yes.
Okay, just so you're aware.
Well, I'm planning on Zooming, so.
Okay, but we'll be down to the wire in June because you have that one meeting, and that's fine, we can do it then.
Yeah,
Just be
Right.
prepared at that
Okay.
point, and we'll get you enough information all the time anyway, so.
All right, thank you.
So number 2 is the interesting one, the discuss Green Road and storm damage. It was pretty brutal, and I visited some of the
Nice.
spots, and they were doing hard work, but it was good to see the guys and just say thank you, and it was appreciated. So anyway, Michelle, you can kind of fill us in from, I'm sure Bruce has given you the big rundown.
It is. So it was a very, very busy day for a lot of our departments here. Public Works, obviously. We did have to hire a contractor. We ended up hiring Stanley's to actually haul material for us because we just could not keep up. We had the assistance of the police department who were out and checking roads for us because we could not be in all places at all times. Things were changing pretty rapidly. The Green Road, for instance, we thought that we would be able to save that road. I had received a report that afternoon that the road was down to one lane, that we were going to be renting some road plates from Nitram until August when we could replace that culvert. And I could still hear them on the radio in my office, and it wasn't even 20 minutes, and they were yelling that they were losing the road, and it was gone. So that's how quickly things were turning over. So it was a good day in that it was wonderful to hear them all working together and how well they did all of that and how seamlessly it kind of worked. It was a difficult situation, but they did an outstanding job. So one of the things to let you know is that we have submitted to Somerset County Emergency Management. I had spoken to the EMA director prior to our submission. They had already had 2 towns submit and knew they had already reached their threshold for emergency declaration, which is over $200,000. We submitted $78,500 worth of damage. So we are hoping that we will get the emergency declaration to help fund that. One of the great things with the Green Road culvert, if there can be a light at the end of this tunnel, is that we were already planning on replacing that culvert. That is the culvert that we had received the money from the state to repair. And the culvert had already been ordered. We were able to get the company to step up the time frame for that, so it's not coming in August, it's supposed to come in May. We have put out the bid for the work. The bids are due next week. We are hoping to be able to award that bid next week so that that work can be done, and what will happen is that bid will come back to the council for ratification at your next meeting. But everything is well in hand. Most of the repairs have been done, at least so that everything is safe. We had a lot of driveway washouts. You'll get a lot more information next month when you get the monthly report from the Public Works Director. But just from my perspective, they just did an amazing job, and I'm very proud of all of them. So, and that we're hoping to get the funds to cover the expenses that we had, and that hopefully the Green Road will be back open to through traffic by the first part of June. So that is our goal.
I think for just everybody's clarification, for that awarding that bid, and we'll see that we'll ratify it, but you're going to award it to the lowest bidder that meets the
Based on
specifications.
qualifications, yep.
Yep.
So Dirigo Engineering actually put that RFP together because they are the ones that have been handling this entire project. They're the ones that did the grant application for the funds that we received, all of that. So they were already going to be handling that bid. They were very helpful the day of the storm. They actually, that Monday afternoon, were on site and met with the Public Works Director to assess the situation to help us get it taken care of as quickly as possible. So they were very helpful for us during that process at that location to help expedite this process. So it was good. It was good.
Nice. Thank you for that update. I think we actually can move to discuss other council business. I'll actually go to Larry tonight. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I've pretty much had my speech about the upcoming things, and I mean, that's what I really wanted to touch on, and again, I can't stress that enough, that we need citizen involvement in these other two issues coming.
Give the dates one more time.
Yes. So it's Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, at 7 o'clock at night at the Williams Junior High School. That's going to be the school board meeting.
Is it the Lawrence Junior High?
Yes.
That's the junior high gym.
Auditorium.
Yes.
It's in the gym.
Gym.
It's in the gym.
Yep. Okay. And then for the county budget, it's June 1st
Gotcha.
at 6:30 in the evening at the Superior Court
You get the
building.
address for that? Some residents may not know what the address is.
Not off the tip of my head.
It's like, it's Court Street.
It's like
Court
Street.
Street,
Court
Straight up,
4
straight up.
Court Street or 7
Yeah.
Court
Yeah.
Street.
It's right up
Yes,
near the
it's
county buildings.
Vegan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
It is in
Yeah.
Skowhegan.
Yep,
Yeah, it's about two buildings up from the granary.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you know where the old cinema is, it's right above it.
And I
Right.
mean, realistically, both of them are coming in at almost 10% right now.
They're over 10%.
So, I
They're
think
each
about...
over 10%
like,
for us.
The county,
For us.
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very important.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to look at your tax bill and say,
Yeah, the county budget ended for the last meeting. I missed the first one because we had our public hearing for our budget. But it started out at a 13.9% increase, and we whittled it down to 9.8%. However, that is for the whole budget, the increase. When you're taking a look at how the money is dispersed between the municipalities, it's different. And Michelle can explain that, because you just heard her say it's actually up higher than that. So maybe you could
Right.
explain that.
Well, because the percentage is the difference between what we paid last year and what we will pay, as opposed to when you look at the whole. Because like we said before, Skowhegan pays a larger portion than we do, the unorganized territories pay a larger portion than we do, so that's why there's just the disparity, but the budget as a whole is up that much. One of the biggest items of concern during this year's budget discussion with the county, and something that we all need to be prepared for, is that the county is using over $9 million worth of ARPA funds for operating expenses. And so the 2025 budget, that $9 million is going to have to be made up for in other ways.
Somewhere.
And so it is just something to be mindful of, is that while it may only be up 10%, or however much it was now, it could be a much larger number.
Right, the projected...
Much, much larger number
Yeah.
2 years from now.
Right, the projected outlook for the county tax for the next 2 years, 2 fiscal years, we're looking at 14% and I think 13% increases. And so we're going to have to bite the bullet, or they're going to just have to
Right.
find some ways to cut. So it'll be interesting for the next 2 years anyways.
let's get through June 1st first.
Yep.
Exactly.
Let's just one step at a time.
Peter?
I just noticed today, just watch out for the painters on the town roads. I just noticed the ridge road was painted today, the middle strips. So just be advised, residents going out there, you might be seeing the contractors out there painting the strips. And just might be mindful of the speed they go to, so.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, the only thing which we haven't discussed is that last week and a half ago, we had our PFAS meeting out at the Victor Grange. And it was an excellent meeting. It was very well attended. We had groups of different people from the different companies around that are working on the PFAS and stuff. And it's going to be a project for us to do. It's not going to be easy. And the other thing that I would like to see is that we need members for the committee. It's an ad hoc committee, and we need people to just come down and get into the meeting and give us some help, and we just need local volunteers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Exactly. That was one of the things I was going to bring up. Thank you for attending that meeting. I was unable to get there. So I appreciate you being there.
Yeah, it was an excellent meeting. There was a lot of very good information thrown out, and there is still a ton of information that
Lot of
needs to come
discussion
out.
Happened, yes.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Stephanie?
Well, the only thing I would like to remind our citizens about is the fact that there's also a building committee. And when you take the papers out, you'll see it's for a year commitment. But the building committee, the way the calendar is projected to run is once the initial work is done, then there's a process where you have to go and get requests for proposals and to see how much everything will cost. So it's not actively meeting, it's being handled elsewhere within the town office. Until the time comes when we do have a cost analysis, and then the committee would reconvene. So nobody, as far as I know, Michelle, has come forward yet to be on any of our committees. And this is a really good way of being, showing your civic mindedness. And it is the community that is responsible. So please consider joining one of our
Yeah,
committees.
because a happy workplace for the community is the process too, so.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Welcome.
I had a couple questions about the volunteer opportunities. Is there, what are the responsibilities of the volunteers within those opportunities?
Attend the meetings.
Just attend the meetings? Is there anything
Right.
additional?
The counselor is going to be the chair, and on the building committee, Peter is the chair, and on the water committee, it's going to be Matt.
Yeah.
And so then, we need 7 people on each committee, hopefully, and each one has a different objective in mind. So, but like with the building committee, you'll have to take a look at all of the buildings in the town and assess them, and then report back to the council.
Gotcha. Okay.
And those applications are at the town office.
Okay.
And it has some more description about the qualifications.
Yeah, on the website.
and the-
Does the application have additional details?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
basically, you go into the meetings and you sit and you listen. We bring in people that are on top, and they give us information and stuff like that, and we have to make decisions and bring those decisions back to the council so that the council goes over it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the building committee is covered under our town charter, and part
Council administrative policies.
Thank you, it's administrative policy. So one of the caveats of that is if you are interested in being on the building committee and you are in the construction field and would like to put in a bid, that's prohibited.
Right.
So you have to, that's the only,
Yeah, no conflicts of interest.
right,
Correct.
conflict of
Yep.
interest, good point. Yeah.
Thanks. So for myself, it's kind of actually reiterating some of those things. I guess the first one is a big thank you to all the departments, like Michelle talked about, during our most recent storm and storm damage. It was definitely the involvement and the cooperation was great to see in a tough time. So I appreciate that. The next part is, again, the budget, actually our town meeting. And it's good to see for me, growing up in Maine and attending my first meeting probably when I was 5 years old, and sitting through and listening to a budget debate. I think it's a neat part of Americana that actually serves a purpose. So I appreciate the attendance at our meeting, and I think we did a good job and ran it well. The last part is actually discussing the PFAS committee, and actually both of our committees, ad hoc committees. So I, again, appreciate if people, there's always discussion about it, but here's a chance to be involved. So again, look to the town office and get your applications in. At this point, I think that does it for all the other discussions that we might have on business. The next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, to be held as a hybrid meeting in council chambers and via Zoom at 6:30 p.m. At this point, the council will recess.
Motion to recess?
Motion